Hello everyone, GM. Welcome back to another episode of Overpriced JPEGs. I have Zeneca joining me once again for a Moment of Zeneca, our favorite recurring segment and only recurring segment. Not too much preamble here. We have a great conversation. It's what you know and love, macro updates. We talk about projects. We give some insights into what's happening in the NFT space today. And I think you're going to enjoy it. So here is a word from our sponsors, and then we get right into my conversation with Zeneca33.
Unstoppable Domains is the #1 provider of NFT domains. With domains ending in .crypto, .x, or .nft, Unstoppable Domains lets you replace your long, complex wallet address with a human-readable address. Using Unstoppable, you can verify the ownership over your NFTs, log into Web3 apps, and join tens of thousands of people using them as their Twitter usernames. With Unstoppable Domains, you can have all of your crypto addresses registered to one single domain. So it doesn't matter where crypto payments are coming from or where they're going. By registering all of your crypto addresses to your Unstoppable domain, all of that is taken care of in the back end. Better yet, with Unstoppable Domains, you don't have to worry about gas costs or renewal fees because you own it. Buy your domain and you can show it off as your new Twitter username. So you can get your name for as low as $5 at unstoppabledomains.com. Axie Infinity is a game universe filled with cute, fascinating little creatures called AXIEs that players can collect as pets. Players aim to battle, breed, collect, raise, and build kingdoms for their AXIEs. There are and will be many varied gaming experiences for AXIEs, many of them having players compete with each other using complex strategies and tactics to attain top rankings or be rewarded with coveted resources. Others will have them complete quests, defeat bosses, and unlock in-depth storylines. There are countless unique AXIEs that players can collect with varying body parts and experiences. The AXIE universe is a player-owned economy where the players can truly own, buy, sell, and trade the resources they earn in the game through skilled gameplay and contributions to the ecosystem. It's a digital nation where people come together globally with their AXIEs to play, earn, and live. Join the AXIE revolution at axieinfinity.com/bankless.
Hello everyone, GM. Welcome back to another episode of Overpriced JPEGs and our favorite recurring segment, which we'll laugh at every time because it's the only recurring segment, Moment of Zeneca with Zeneca33. Thanks for being on as always, Zeneca.
Thanks for having me on.
Do other people call you Roy?
Not so much anymore. Like some people do.
Okay.
When I first started, 8 months ago, having video calls with people like in the real world, despite being Zeneca, some people would be like, "Do I call you Roy or Zeneca?" And I was like, "Call me Roy. Zeneca is so weird." But now it's become so just ubiquitous that it sounds normal now. Yeah.
That's funny.
Which is cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I won't chit chat too much in the beginning of podcasts because I like when podcasts get right into the meat, but maybe we'll chit chat about that a little later. We are doing what we always do on Moment of Zeneca. We're going to give a macro update, hear from Zeneca about what's happening in the world of NFTs over the last week or two. And then we're going to dive into some specific project. fRiENDSiES, CyberBrokers is the big one. VeeFriends Series 2 is coming out. This 10K TF drop that's happening.
Oh, yeah. The Gucci thing.
Yeah, your upcoming Nas Academy lessons, which I'm excited about, the course there. Other thoughts. It'll be great. It'll be a great episode. But let's start. Let's start with the general macro updates. What's going on, Zeneca? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite clear that the market has been pretty bearish over the last 2 weeks, I think, since we last chatted, which is about how long this bearish period has been going for. Honestly, a little longer. Maybe all of Feb was kind of bearish. But I think people started to really see and feel it over the last couple of weeks, especially when blue chips started tanking a little more and bleeding a little more, and projects weren't minting out, and those that did were dropping below, at least a lot of them were dropping below mint price quite quickly. And I mean, there's lots of reasons for why it might be bearish, just the world in general. I mean, obviously everything going on in Ukraine is just really wreaking havoc on all sorts of markets and creating a lot of understandable fear and uncertainty out there, which has flowed into NFTs a bit. And then sort of the thing that we talk about every time there's a bit of a bearish market, or even when there's not, it's there's just the sheer volume of new projects being released there's just not that demand to keep up with it. There just isn't. 95% of projects are just not going to succeed, which I think most of us have understood for a while now. In Yeah, in these bearish times, though, it's like even the 5% that are going to succeed, they struggle a bit. And that's what I think panics people a lot. It's sort of, it's like this issue of liquidity, right? That there's only so much money that can be put into projects that can be buying up secondary market to make floors go up. And yes, there's lots of new people and with that new money entering the space every single day. But can it keep up with the sheer volume of projects? And especially now that more projects are like going higher on mint prices with Dutch auctions, starting at higher points, that's sucking a lot of liquidity out of the space. So there are a lot of reasons for the bearishness. Again, as usual, I have no idea how long it's going to last. I don't know if it's going to end tomorrow or will be bearish for the next 2 years. Like, who knows? But it's hopefully it's not the latter. That's just the general market sentiment, I think.
Yeah. I wish we could, and it's impossible to do, but we could have that psychological shift as human beings to see moments like this as opportunities to get into the projects that maybe you had wanted to but couldn't at different price points. But it's just so hard to not feel sad because your portfolio is worth less, but it really is like it's an opportunity. It really does feel like it kicked off with Ukraine. Does that feel correct? Like that precipitated it. Now that's not the only factor maybe maintaining it, but like that feels like the thing that really depressed things. Is that true?
I think probably maybe like a 1-2 punch. I think the Pixelmon fiasco where, they sucked like $70 million out of the ecosystem. And then it wasn't that long after that. I mean, there was maybe like, I can't remember exactly how long, a week before the reveal. And then the reveal was just, very clear that it was like basically a scam.
Though Kevin is one of the best things to happen in my life. I love Kevin. In a long time.
Oh my God, Kevin.
It's so funny.
A very quick side note, but I wanted to do a meme project, Kevin for Ukraine, and just like raise funds and put it out there. And I really wanted to do it quickly, but it just didn't take, like we sort of missed the window. But I tweeted out, does anyone want to help with this? And then Zagabond, who is the founder of Azuki, was just like, he reached out to me and said, let's do it. And then we've actually got it all ready to go, but we feel like the window is past. We don't want to put it out now. But if Kevin comes back, there's the meme project coming.
Oh, wow. Anyway. You're going to get tweets after this being like, oh, put out your Kevin meme project. Come on,
Maybe we still will. Anyway, the Pixelmon fiasco and then Ukraine really was, two big factors, I think, into the current bear, on top of just the general oversaturation. And actually, it's an interesting point that is different between this bear market and I think all the previous bear cycles that we've had in the NFT space is that all of the previous ones seem to, in part, coincide with gas spiking a lot. Gas was consistently high in like October, November. Gas was high in like April, May last year. And those were sort of bearish points. Gas is not really high at the moment. Gas is very low, actually, which is amazing. I minted 3 NFTs yesterday. It cost me $1.70 per NFT unit, which is insane. I know.
Wait, what?
So, yeah. Like,
you minted 3 NFTs on Ethereum mainnet.
Mainnet, yeah. It cost me $5.20
and it cost you $1.70?
$1.70 per NFT, yeah. Which is, it's
Wait,
just like...
what contract were they on? That's not low gas. That's what?
That's, yeah. So it was Astro Girl Society is the project, and the dev is really amazing. He worked on Fortune Friends Club as well, and I think he's got his name is Bowstronaut, like Bow Astronaut. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if it's a he or she, and they're now working on a new project. And so it's just like people are like innovating and getting smarter with contracts.
That is that is the most bullish news on Ethereum I have heard maybe ever. $1.70 to mint 3 NFTs each. So it was whatever, $5 total to mint 3 NFTs.
But $1 something for an NFT, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's
that's
great.
it. Everyone buy ETH. Are you kidding me? We've made it. We've done it.
And this is before like layer 2s are really out there and before sharding and all sorts of other things that are going to make it even cheaper. Yeah.
Dude, so bullish ETH hearing that. Okay.
Right.
That is a really interesting point though. Well, I was going to say something similar in that, you obviously had a bit of a boost to like ETH and Bitcoin and these things after Biden's executive order, which was yesterday / the day before a little bit, longer ago when you finally hear this episode. But and so, which didn't really seem to kind of put the steam back in the NFT market, which just further, I think, validates this sort of decoupling narrative where crypto is sort of impacted by one thing and NFTs are obviously connected, but not in lockstep anymore in the way that I feel like at one point they kind of were. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that was like, there was a lot of fear about what that executive order would be. And then, so maybe that was also contributing to the bear. And then now that it's come out and it's not bad, it's not a bad executive order. Yeah, if anything, it's good. And I guess it's still a little too early to see what's gonna like eventuate from that. Crypto had a boost, but it's like today it's tanking again. It's just like it's.
Oh, I haven't looked today. Oh, got it. Damn.
Who knows? There's infinite factors out there, but
Totally.
yeah, I think to your point, we are definitely seeing NFTs and crypto decouple more as time goes on, which it just makes sense as the markets mature. There are just different people involved in both, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the high-priced Dutch auctions and like sort of pricing structures changing here in the NFT world. Projects are launching with higher sort of start prices than they once did, and that is kind of a convenient segue into fRiENDSiES. Have you been following fRiENDSiES at all?
Not really. I heard that they're doing a Dutch auction starting at 4.2 ETH, I think, right?
Yes, though they just announced, I think yesterday, that they were going to be dropping the starting Dutch auction price to 3.33 ETH after a lot of really negative community feedback around the 4.2. And that seems like, I think they posted it like last night, made that announcement, and the reaction, at least that I saw, was really positive to that and felt like, okay, thank you so much. Like that this like more than satisfies us and we appreciate you listening,
That's still so high though.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you know about the project?
I don't know that much, so yeah.
Okay.
Maybe enlighten me.
I will give you what I know. So it's funny, I was actually on a Twitter Spaces so Oshiny had them on, the Oshiny show, and I was on that episode a little bit because it was, Yang was on it. And I was like sort of distracted, like trying to get a bunch of different things done and out before Yang's part of the show came on. And it was and they made me a speaker and I was like, oh God, like I am only half listening to this space right now.
Yeah.
Like, one of those kind of moments. So I love you, Oshiny. I love you. Thank you. No shade at you, but I was like sort of half kind of paying attention during it, but I got the gist and I've gone back and kind of looked back at the project. So basically it's these two artists who have been really making art for a decade. As far as I understand it, they actually have had like affiliation with Netflix. Like they've build these really cute characters. 20 years ago, they were calling them friends. Now they've evolved to fRiENDSiES, but they all have this same very like kind of lovable, child-friendly, cute look. And their main bread and butter has been like, I think, exhibitions, and like they were at Art Basel with these characters building these big exhibitions for this upcoming fRiENDSiES thing that's happening. They're taking over a corner of Christie's here in New York. So they do a lot of like in real life activations. And I guess 5 or 6 years ago, they did one where they were playing with VR and AI. And so they had sort of an IRL activation where you could go and interact with one of their cute little characters in like a VR AI setting where it would sort of learn you and be able to react. And they were like, that was 5 years ago, though. The technology was so much worse than it is today. Yeah. But that was really the seeding ground for what has now become this upcoming fRiENDSiES drop, which they're calling your AR AI companion. And so my understanding, and I will say it's like maybe a tip to the team, like it's kind of surprisingly hard to get like in one place the information about like when does this mint, how exactly is the mint working other than the Dutch auction, because I've heard allusions to this creating your own companion process where it sounds like you're kind of building the avatar yourself in some capacity, but I haven't gotten full sort of clarity on that, like how that dovetails with the Dutch auction. So it seems like there's some way in which you're kind of building a character based on their basic kind of fRiENDSiES cutesies model, and then it's AI programmed and in some capacity, so you can interact with it. And their stated goal is that over these long periods of times, it gets to know you, and it sort of morphs to what you need it to be, whether that's just like somebody who can reflect calm when you're anxious, or is sort of like a record of your own evolution and your own different emotional states over periods of time. I mean, it's all kind of like abstract and woo-woo, but they seem like really well-meaning artists. There's been a lot of like FUD around this is a cash grab, I think, because of the mint prices and this and that. But from what I've seen, like going back and rewatching some of these spaces, like they read to me as quite like genuine in their, approach to being artists and doing interesting things with AI. Anyway, that is high level what this is.
It sounds awesome. Like
Yeah.
I hadn't understood that. That sounds so cool. I mean, again, I don't know whether it justifies a 3 ETH price, but again, it's a Dutch auction. People always say it's a cash grab when it's a Dutch auction starting at a certain point, but it's an auction. You don't have to buy at the start price. It's people will buy when they think it's valuable and worth buying. Yeah.
I totally agree. I also find that a little strange when people, and I guess the frustration, I think the frustration comes from, I don't know, different project. Was it Lives of Asuna? Like there's been different projects that have done the Dutch auction and then the price tanked and then the holders get mad. I don't know. I don't want to call it Lives of Asuna if that wasn't the one. But, in that era of like crazy hype with Azuki and Zipsies and Lives of Asuna, I think some of that was happening and people felt disappointed. I think you and I had even said at that time, like, only start the Dutch auction at a price that you think you can actually sustain. But like, what can projects, it's so hard to really know what your project, what the the destiny of your project is going to be in the short term, right? You can know you're going to be long term in something, and like anything can kind of happen in the short term. So speaking of this, would love to get your thoughts. One of the pieces of feedback that I saw on the fRiENDSiES piece was, I think, Carlini saying you should do a Dutch auction where whatever price the project mints out at, and you actually explained this to me yesterday on Discord because I didn't quite understand Carlini's tweet, but it sounds like it's basically like if you start the Dutch auction at 3.3, but the project ends up minting out at 1 ETH, anybody who bought higher than 1 ETH gets refunded so that they also basically will have ended up paying a 1 ETH price. That was your understanding of what Carlini was suggesting, right?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
It makes a good amount of sense. It doesn't punish the people who maybe are the most avid supporters and who buy in early. I guess there's people who will try and it's sort of like it creates this really interesting dynamic where no one wants to be the last person to buy because then they're locking in this price. Whereas if you just wait, then everyone gets it for cheaper. So how do you reconcile that? And then like, does someone from the team come along and buy the last one? It's just really, it creates this interesting dynamic. But I think it's, the thought is well-intentioned and it's a step in the right direction and something that I would like to see projects experiment with and try because, it just doesn't make sense in some ways for large collections to say a 5 or 10K collection, for some people to pay way more than others basically for effectively the same thing. And especially if they're the ones who are maybe the biggest supporters and most excited and passionate about the project, why are they necessarily paying more? And then I think I mentioned to you an idea that I heard last week as well. Actually, so the idea of like a blind auction, a blind reverse Dutch auction, where...
explain what that is.
There's various ways of doing it, but the crux is that people, they price is going down. They say, all right, I want to pay this price. And then like the money is held in an escrow or it's locked up for a couple of days in smart contracts until the Dutch auction ends. And then say there's 10,000 NFTs, the 10,000 highest bidders either pay what they bidded or pay the lowest price. So that's combining it with Carlini's idea. And I think it's similar to what Loomlock did, I don't know, like 8 months ago or something. Time is weird, but with the WASI's project. And they had like a blind, I think it was like a standard auction or an English auction or something where, people could bid and then there's a leaderboard and then like at a random time a snapshot was taken and the top 100 or 5, I don't know, however many people each day would get to mint at that price. But I think there's a lot to experiment with mint mechanics and Dutch auctions, and I think having some element of blindness as well as refunding people who bit high, perhaps. I don't know. There's a lot to do.
Yeah, I like that. I will say I'll shout out my friend Kai, who I've talked about a number of times on this project, who was the co-founder at BlockBlock, where I work. And we were kind of ideating on a project many months ago where the drop mechanic he wanted was, what I'm realizing is like a blind auction. Didn't even have the Dutch auction piece, though, I don't think. Like, I think his was truly like you had to just like input what you wanted. His idea was like you would just input what you wanted to pay, and then...
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember all the specifics of it, right? But like the incentive to not go too low was that if you were too low, you wouldn't get the opportunity to buy it, And then there was some mechanic of like, you took like the average price and maybe dropped it a little bit lower, and then anybody who had bid it above that, could bid. It was something really interesting that I liked, again, as part of sort of a price discovery tool that I think is interesting and haven't really seen done. So lots to play around with there. I'm sure projects and teams will just continue to learn as we see what's working and what's failing in the space.
Yeah. It's also, I just one last comment on that. It's sort of, in terms of whether something's a cash grab or not, it'll vary so much project to project. And I think it depends on how much work has been put into it, what they're promising, what they're going to build, and where the money and the funds are going to go to. And I think it's just always important to think about, like, not all projects are created equal, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why team is so important. And we've talked about this, obviously, numerous times. If the team is like an undoxed team, like Azuki, which again is why my bind keeps being like, people just keep being like, well, they're such a talented team. I'm like, you don't know. Like, they could be lying, but they came on like Zen, your spaces. Like, if you've heard these people on spaces enough, et cetera, I think that obviously can help to combat if they're undoxed. Okay, CyberBrokers. I feel like you would be into CyberBrokers. Are you like deep in CyberBrokers or no?
I missed it. I saw it and I was like, this is really, really cool. And it was like, when I first saw it before minting, I was like, because we're in a bear market, it's a 10K collection, mint price 0.35, seems a little high. They didn't have that many followers. Like, I was a little trepidatious. I didn't do a lot of research. And then when they were minting out and they were like around the 1.3, 1.5, I was like, I did more research. This is really, really cool. But I just generally don't like buying when there's that much hype and pumps. So I was like, I'm just going to wait. If they drop below 1 ETH, I'll get in. And then now they're at 4 and I missed it.
I know. Infinite regret. Just the infinite regret. So I'm pretty sure, apparently, to get on the whitelist to get a CyberBrokers, you had to, like, be active in our Discord, or I think Josie Bellini is the artist behind CyberBrokers, or I think subscribe to her newsletter. I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed to her newsletter. Like, I think I could have gotten on the freaking allow list. Like, that's how like, it's just impossible to track everything in this space.
Yeah.
And then I was really debating getting in on one at 2.3. Yesterday morning, I did a live stream with Nansen yesterday, and we were looking at projects and looking at CyberBrokers, and I was sort of talking it up, and it was 2.3, and I was like, but I had the same reaction you did, which was like, it was like, Pranksy had just come in and swept the floor at like 1.5, 1.7. So I was looking at it at 2.3, feeling like that had been a wave up that had been ridden off of Pranksy's, sweep.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like, let me wait for the like kind of Pranksy hype to die down. And then, yeah, of course, I think it was at like 4.95 at one point. Like, it like literally, I think it got up to like nearly 5.
So
I
crazy.
Don't know. And then I'm like, of course you're like, God. I was also on a stream with, we interacted just briefly, but I was on a live stream for the Defiant a couple weeks ago, and Josie was the artist who was on. And I was like, oh, this project seems really cool. Whatever. Again, like, just infinite regret. Should we maybe give folks just high level? You said you did a little bit more research and thought it was really cool. Just give the high level for maybe somebody who hasn't been fully tracking what this is.
I mean, I did a little bit of research. I don't know a ton about it, but basically, as we said, Josie Bellini, the artist, the artwork it's really just honestly really, really cool. It looks, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but like a little bit like futuristic. And anyway, the art is going to be all on chain. And so it's not yet on chain. So what's going to happen is that at some point in the future, they've committed to basically uploading all of this art on chain, and the quality of the art is going to be, I'm pretty sure, way better than anything we've seen as an on-chain project. Normally, you think on-chain, it's like pixelated CryptoPunks, Chain Runners is on-chain and like a little more sophisticated. But the reason that you don't see something
Avastars
like
is sort of
Avastars,
I think the prime example of
one of the
really,
OG ones.
impressive art that is on there and on chain.
Yeah. But the reason you don't see too many like Bored Apes on chain or something like with really in-depth art, it's that it costs a lot of money to write data to the Ethereum blockchain, and it would just be prohibitively expensive. And now this art looks like it would be prohibitively expensive, and it's definitely going to cost a lot. I don't know how much, but a lot. But they have committed to it, and they're going to upload it all on chain. I think it's like the file format. There'll be like SVG files, and people can then, there's this whole element of composability and interoperability when all the data is on chain that people can use. Yeah, it's cool. They've got a great community, great artist, OG artist behind it. Josie is fantastic and has been in the space for a long time. It's a really cool PFP project that we missed.
Yeah, that's I think a great overview. Can you explain what the composability piece, what does that mean? In when we talk about composability on chain, et cetera, like what does that mean?
Yeah, so basically, composability is just basically being able to use an NFT or anything that's on the Ethereum blockchain and interact with it and like build on top of it in a way that you can't really do with something that's not on chain. I don't know if I'm explaining this right or like very well.
No, that you're right.
Yeah, but let's say you want to add, and I don't actually know what the intellectual property rights are for CyberBrokers or if anyone can like create derivatives. You do?
Yeah, I can chime in. It's very Bored Apey. It's permissive. She said it's going to be very permissive. You can do whatever you want with your CyberBroker and monetize it, etc. It's not like in the full CCO category, but I think it's in that sort of towards that end of the spectrum, a la like a Bored Ape.
So we'll use the Bored Apes as an example then. If you want to create a derivative of your Bored Ape, basically because the image file is not stored on chain per se, basically what you do is you go download the PNG, I think, or JPEG high quality file, you create art, you do whatever you want, and then if you want, you can re-upload that to the blockchain as a new NFT. With CyberBrokers, because they're all going to be on chain, you can sort of interact with the art directly via smart contract to smart contract, and maybe write a smart contract that takes the art and all the data on chain and adds a different background or a hat or accessory or whatever, and really manipulate the data in a way that's not possible with Bored Apes. Like with Bored Apes, it's sort of like the aspect that's on chain is sort of a URL, like a linking to the image file plus the traits. So it'll say like gold teeth, trippy fur, whatever, crazy eyes, and you'll have that information, but you won't necessarily be able to, like, just looking at the data, know what that looks like a smart contract won't be able to manipulate that in the same way that I think with CyberBrokers you will be able to. It just leads to cool new opportunities. Yeah.
Well, and it strikes me that this is the kind of thing that right now our imaginations can only go so far with what that means, right? We're like, oh, you can add a hat or a background, but that in 5-10 years, like there'll be really wild stuff that's happening because of smart contract interactions. Like, not to take us too far afield, but I've been doing some research on this is for another project I'm working on, which is like the first car ever invented, which was like the first automobile was in like the 1800s. It was Bentley, I think, or whatever, some name that you would now recognize. Went like 11 miles per hour at like its top speed. And then the Model T, which people might know, came out like 20 years later, could go, I think, as fast as 45 miles per hour, all of which is slower than a horse, which at a sprint can reach, like a good horse can reach like 55 miles per hour. So you can imagine people in like 1908 being like, what is the point of cars? Like we have horses, it's slower, it's stupider. And I feel like that's so much of what we see in the blockchain space right now. For people who shit on it, they're like, it doesn't really solve anything. Like, and you're like, well, first of all, it does, right? But like, it's not, it's so nascent still. Imagine when it's, when we're the car industry of, 2020 compared to the car industry of 1908. So that's what I feel like some of like when I look at space doodles, rap doodles, like right now, some of it feels it's performative and it's intellectually interesting, but there's sort of an element of like, okay, but what, But I think what it really is, it's these stepping stones to things that I think are going to be really interesting in 10 or 20 years, or less time probably, right? So that's how I feel about some of this
agree.
on-chain, like CyberBroker.
Yeah.
Like you're pushing the boundaries, and right now we can't even imagine what it's going to be able to lead us to.
Yeah. And also, we're not developers, you and me. So there's probably cool stuff that, people can do and will do, but we don't know because there's just so much that we don't know. But yeah, you're absolutely right that, there's a lot of what's happening now are just really the very early stages of people are just experimenting with this tech. We were talking earlier about how, I paid $1.70 to mint an NFT. Go back 6 months ago, that was unheard of. You'd pay $50, $100 at low gas, and because people hadn't optimized contracts, they hadn't come up with new ways, and every week, every month, people are just discovering and pushing the needle forward in so many different areas and capacities, and I think that's not going to slow down for a long time.
Absolutely. Have you tweeted that? Like, how is this not news? Why is this like hitting me so hard? And you just like threw it out casually earlier. Like, hey, this is a good thing. Like to me, I'm like, did I miss that this was happening? Like, is everybody else realize that people are minting that cheap?
I think so. Like, it's not the first project. Like, there's been, I don't know, a dozen maybe projects that I'm even aware of that have minted close to that cheap over the last couple of months. And again, it started with Azuki. Yeah. Well,
but I've minted some like ERC 721A contracts that were awesome, but it was still like $30, right? It was still the gas was like $25, $30, and I was pumped. $1.70 is like a whole different ballgame to me. I think that's why I'm freaking out so much, because I'm like, that's like it's way crazy. Different. That's like we're getting to true accessibility there. Because even $25, $30 for some people, if you want to mint a bunch, like, or if the whole thing costs $60, like that's still kind of a thing. Like $6, and you imagine we can get that down to $3? Like what? Okay,
yeah.
well,
and imagine
I'll shut up about it. But.
you can sell NFTs that the price of the NFT is $15.
Correct.
So instead of like $150, $300 NFTs, now you can have like $10 NFTs that you pay $1, $2 to mint.
Exactly. That's the thing to me is like these. You look at like Parallel, which is not even that expensive, but they want to do these Parallel packs that are even cheaper. I think they're going to do physical card packs, whatever. Point being, like, that to me is actually wildly game changing that we can do that. Okay, let's move along. RIP that neither of us own CyberBrokers, and also like Josie Bellini's written a bunch of lore on her newsletter, which is why I had again. I think I'm subscribed. I think I could have been on this this allow list. I'm so bitter, but anyway. Yeah. But her lore is really like cool and interesting and gives you a vibe, and so you can go check that out. I think it's on her Substack. So there's just a lot to this project that's I think being done exceptionally well.
Everyone is talking about the metaverse these days, and we're all still trying to figure out what it actually is, because everyone is looking for how to get exposure to it. That is why a metaverse index fund is so important, because in such a young market, an index can give you broad exposure to all the various players who are building out all these digital worlds that will ultimately become the metaverse. And that's why you should check out the Metaverse Index from the Index Co-op. The Metaverse Index gives you simple, easy, and safe one-click exposure to the emerging open metaverse trend. The MVI Index contains some of the biggest metaverse projects out there, including Axie Infinity, Decentraland, Illuvium, and more. So join thousands of holders who have already trusted nearly $50 million to the MVI Index. And if you buy $500 of MVI on the Dharma app, you can receive $50 worth of ETH on the Polygon network. There's a link in the show notes for you to click so you can get started on your journey into the metaverse. Polygon is Ethereum's largest and most vibrant scaling solution to date. With millions of monthly users and all of the biggest DeFi apps, the Polygon ecosystem has turned into a blossoming metropolis of DeFi activity. Transactions on Polygon are quick and cheap, allowing users the freedom to achieve their DeFi goals, all while being economically anchored to Ethereum. But Polygon isn't just the proof-of-stake sidechain. The Polygon team is building a suite of scaling solutions, including Polygon Hermes, Maiden, Nightfall, and Zero, all with different design choices in order to be optimized for all possible crypto use cases. If you're a developer who wants to build on the Polygon ecosystem, go to the link in the show notes to check out their fantastic documentation. And if you're a user who just wants to experience fast and cheap DeFi, you can bridge over your ETH or other tokens and start playing around with any of the thousands of applications that are available on Polygon.
VeeFriends Series 2. You're a holder, right? You're a VeeFriends holder, right?
I have a VeeFriends. Yeah, I'm so bummed that I didn't get in at mint because I've been a fan of Gary V's for like 15 years, but I missed it, and then I bought in eventually, and I'm happy to be a holder. But I've never really dived deep into the ecosystem like you have. So I feel like there's been a lot
I
of
can
news
tell
this
you.
week on Series 2. Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, a bunch of news. Also, I will say, so I did mint VeeFriends. It's the only thing I can hold over you in our entire NFT relationship is that fact. But I'll tell a funny story just briefly because I was with a friend of mine the other night. I have a good girlfriend who I actually met through Andrew's campaign, but she's very like, she's like cool, you know, in like a mainstream way that I'm not, you know, and we have a fun relationship because like I'm like the weird nerd and she's like, you know, like the kind of pretty cool girl. And she had a birthday brunch last year. She was born in May during the mint thing for Gary V's. So I don't, anyways, we met at work. So like, we're not in like the same friend groups. Like all of our friends are also like cool, like kind of hot girls, you know? And I came with like my backpack and my laptop so that I could mint a VeeFriend at this birthday brunch, which was
That's
like, you know,
awesome.
everybody was like very lovingly kind of like, what the heck is wrong with you? What are you doing? This is so weird. And of course now I get to be like, motherfuckers, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's worth so much. Okay. So be
$40,000.
yourself, folks. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to be your nerdy, weird self. Being a nerd pays. So news this week. VeeFriends, two big announcements, and hopefully I'm not, there aren't others that I'm even missing because there was a lot just coming out of this. But basically they announced how you can get on the Series 2 list. So there's, you know, he's doing a VeeFriends Series 2, which he's talked about is because VeeFriends 1 kind of skyrocketed even faster than he was expecting and has become so inaccessible that he sped up the timeline for doing a Series 2 so that people could get in and get into his ecosystem. And Series 2 is not a utility play like Series 1 is. It's really an art play, but it's part of this whole IP. Like, you know, Series 2 doesn't get you to VCon and all the rest of it, but Series 2 is a part of this broader IP world that he's very openly building and these characters and all the rest of it. So that's what Series 2 will be. And the only way to get into Series 2 is to hold book tokens, which you also have, Zeneca. So if you haven't sold them, you have an opportunity for Series 2. So basically,
you don't get into Series 2 by holding a V1?
So here's what he's doing. This was the other big piece of news, which is every Series 1 holder is going to get a unique Series 2 that won't be available in any other way of whatever their Series 1 character is, right? So I have like crappy Series 1 characters. I have like a shrimp. I like my hermit crab. I have a happy hermit crab. So I will get a one of one piece basically with unique pose, like a unique pose and unique all these things. I think I actually have the exact language here. It was the Series 2 for the Series 1 holders. The Series 2 they will get will be a true one of one with a combination of different characters, poses, and backgrounds making up the complete token artwork. And again, you'll get whatever character you hold as part of Series 1. So that's a special thing that's happening for Series 1 token holders. But then the broader kind of ecosystem of characters to get in on that will have to be through holding book games. So he's still rewarding Series 1, but he's also rewarding the book game token holders, where basically there's 120,000 book game tokens.
That's
and
so
of course
many.
that was so many. And that was the thing people were freaking out about before book games was revealed, was like, how is he possibly going to create demand for 120,000 tokens? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And of course he's Gary Vee. I don't know how he does it. He does it. Like, love or hate his content and like the way he expresses himself, man, he has done this NFT thing so effing well. So, I held a bunch of book game tokens, and I've joked about it here because I sort of traded and flipping them on Token Trove, which is the IMX platform that they're on. And I checked the other day, I hadn't checked in a while because of all the news that's come out, like more than half of mine had sold that I'd listed for what I thought were like kind of high prices, you know, like double, triple mint, like the floor price at the time that I listed them. And I was like, oh, damn it. Like, I should have been tracking this closer.
What is the floor? Do you know?
Floor now is like almost at half an ETH, which is crazy because these things cost like $300 to buy the 12 books to get one of these NFTs. Yeah, they were actually, I think I have it up here. Oh, it's dropped a bit. It's now at 0.392. Still. Yeah, but yeah, I checked. It was over 0.4. It was like approaching half an ETH. So I mean, look, I've made a good little chunk of money, but I could have made more, infinite regret, because I wasn't tracking closely enough to realize that what I was listing them at had gotten to be too low based on the news that was coming out. But I still hold a few, and so hoping that I'll get on that Series 2.
So how do you get from having book game NFTs to being on the Series 2 list?
Yes.
And also,
okay,
do you know how many Series 2 NFTs there will be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't actually know. He may have said, but I don't know how many Series 2 he's releasing. I can try and find that. And then, so the way it's going to work is it's pretty random. So there's 120,000 book game tokens altogether. 32,000 are being chosen, I believe, at random to make it onto the friends list for Series 2. So it's 25% or something in that ballpark. I think it's maybe a little higher. I think it's like 32,000 out of 120,000 or something. And so it'll be random. You'll get a whitelist spot or a allow spot, and then there's going to be a 12.5-day minting window for Series 2 because his book was 12.5 lessons or whatever the heck. And
Of course.
I think it's happening. So April 5th, it'll be announced. Like you'll find out basically if one of your tokens is one of the ones that it has like a spot. And I don't know that he's announced when minting starts, but at some point there will be this 12.5-day window. And if there are any Series 2 tokens still available after that window, which my guess is going to be that there probably won't be. You think yes?
Well, I'm going to guess, I think people will just be on the list and then forget, like, just not, as like you did with the Josie Bellini thing, as everyone does with everything in this space. It's like, you bought books, all right, they're in my wallet, they're on Immutable X. Oh, I didn't pay attention to VeeFriends for a month, I missed the window. That kind of stuff.
Okay, you're probably right. I just think when I checked and saw like how many of my book tokens had sold and like looked at how much money I've already made, I'm like, how could anybody underestimate him at this point ever again? And not just like, because the thing with Josie Bellini was like, there's still that little piece of you that's like, I don't know if this will make money. Like and maybe I'm just so locked in. I'm like, Gary Vee just like makes you money if you buy what he buys. Like, and so
he's like the good version of Beanie, right? Because a lot of people said they follow Beanie, they hate him, but he makes you money. He pumped up Punk's comics and all that, and whatever, Wolf Game, and great. People forgave a lot of stuff and then whatever.
But because he also loses you money, right? Like he also does projects that go to shit.
Yeah.
Blute.
Yeah. People seem to forget that, but
I loved your. I'll say. So I tweeted the other day, like, choose your fighter or pick your fighter, because it just so happened on my Twitter feed there was back-to-back tweets. One from Andrew Wang being like, "I will never go back to my day job. I love this space. Like, no matter how much my NFTs fall in price." And then right below that was a Beanie tweet being like, can't wait for the NFT class of 2021 to all go crying back to their day jobs in 2022. And it was such a funny contrast. So I tweeted it out and you like replied being like, I don't know who that second guy is.
Yeah. Which is, it's also crazy because last year he was tweeting so much like, everyone, you should quit your day jobs and come to NFTs. Why are you still working a 9 to 5? Why don't you quit? And now, anyway, he tweeted something at me last year. I think he tweeted something and then I called him out and then he replied like, who the fuck are you? And I was just like, and then he deleted it. And then now I just, whenever he tweets, I'm like, who is that guy? Who is he?
I don't know who that guy is. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I thought it was a commentary on like erasing him from the space, which I do think
that as
probably is warranted.
Yes.
I was conflicted tweeting it because I didn't want to give more energy to his stuff, but I was like, this is too good. And I do still follow him because it feels relevant to know kind of what he's doing. But
what he's doing.
He's tweeting way less, but
good.
Or at least I'm just or I'm not seeing them. Which is
I've had him blocked for a long time, and he's had me blocked. So anyway.
Love the influencer feuds of NFTs.
Yeah.
Okay. Which this is the question I wanted to ask. Which VeeFriend do you hold? Because that will impact which Series 2 NFT you
that's
get.
a good question. Let me I think it's an ostrich. Is there an ostrich one?
Probably.
Probably.
There's a lot of
they all have like uplifting names, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Like,
they're all values.
Organized ostrich. I just found it out.
That's adorable. Okay, that's nice. That's like good. It's like a cuddly character. Like my shrimp, I literally don't know what Gary's gonna do for the shrimp. I'm convinced it's going to be the worst one. I was hoping it would give me access to Fly Fish Club because there's like a sushi / like fishy theme.
Yeah.
But like it truly is the ugliest character. But I got it at mint floor, which like I got it for like half an eat. And whatever, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really ugly. Okay, I am hoping you can tell me about Bobu and Azuki. Do you want to go there next?
Yes, I can speak a little bit to that. So I'm sure everyone knows Azuki. They came up with this idea where they created, there's one Azuki NFT, and they created like an identity for it, Bobu, the bean farmer. And they said, what we're going to do is basically fractionalize Bobu and then sell fractions at 0.01 ETH, just because, again, Azuki is so inaccessible to so many people now. The floor is around 10 ETH, has been for a while. And they really wanted to do it as I don't want to put words in the mouth, but like A, as a way to make it more accessible for newcomers, and B, just to get the community involved in building sort of the IP and the story for this character, because, it's a fractionalized ownership of this NFT, and they'll build out a story. There'll be governance where if you have one Bobu NFT, you have one vote and all that kind of stuff. And they fractionalized it into 50,000 fractions, which is a ton. And then I think that they had a public, or like the sale was for 20 or 30,000 of them. And then the rest, I don't know exactly. I think the team is holding them for the time being, but then I don't know what the plan is for them. But effectively, there's a ton of these tokens out there now. And the floor price is like 0.06. So it's gone up a lot since mint. And yeah, it's just like a cool initiative, I think. They definitely got some backlash and FUD about, why are you raising more money, all that kind of stuff. But all the money raised is going into like a treasury that's basically being managed by this DAO. I don't know if it's actually a DAO, but it's a whatever, for legal reasons, quasi DAO type thing. Yeah.
And so it sounds like it's like an IP governance token, not intended to be almost like more like an ERC20 sort of ecosystem currency token.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
I'll read the description they have on their OpenSea page. Bobu tokens are an experiment in decentralized IP brought to you by Azuki.com. Bobu, who is Azuki number 40, an honest bean farmer, will become one with the Azuki community. Bobu tokens are a way to join an experiment in decentralized character IP governance. Bobu tokens grant access to closed Discord channels, proposal voting, and more surprises. We are Bobu, and then a bunch of disclaimers their lawyers, I'm sure, told them to put there. Yeah. So it's an experiment, which I think is really cool. I love experiments in this space.
Yeah. Well, and what I love is Azuki, and it's a testament to them, I guess, and the quality at which they do everything. Seems like their community loves them so much. Like they just have so much goodwill that they are a project that can really take some risks and experiment, and it doesn't seem to, I don't know, blow anything up. I guess I hear there was some FUD, but it hasn't affected floor price, which I think is still around 10. Where it just seems to stay and live.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll give a little teaser, which is that I think the last time we talked, I think I said to you like on air, like, can you just like give me somebody who can explain Azuki to me? You gave me Eddie, who is lovely. And I did have a conversation with him last week, and I actually recorded it because I was just going to call him and be like, okay, I just need you to explain why Azuki has sort of defied a lot of the typical patterns in some ways. I mean, it did ultimately dip down a little bit, but dip down to 10. I mean, geez. And so he and I had like a 40-minute conversation, and right before we started, I was like, you know what? Like, screw it. Other people are probably interested. Like, would you mind if I just recorded this? And so I haven't released it yet because I've had a bunch of kind of side content that I've been releasing, but I probably will at some point. So y'all can look forward to that. If you, like me, have been like, what? Explain it. Why was this such a thing? I break it down with Eddie, and really, or I should say, Eddie breaks it down, and I nod dutifully.
That's what I love. Eddie. He's got great energy, and
champ.
I'm sure it's going to be great.
Great. He's in your 333 club, I hear. Yeah.
He is. Yeah.
He's very sharp.
Yeah.
To join the 333 club, you get to hang out with cool people. Plug.
Yeah. That's actually it's
Do you want to say something, or I can feel you battling with yourself?
It's just like it's basically sold out, so it's like it's very difficult to join at this point. But
got it.
Anyway,
are there any 333 club members trying to sell on secondary?
Yeah, you can buy
prices?
on secondary for like 6 ETH now, and there's like 60 spots available. But I opened applications again on the weekend. I got like 400 applications, so it's going to take me a month to go through that. Good problems to have.
Good to be Zeneca. It's good to be Zeneca.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we have a hard stop here, so I want to talk about your upcoming course on Nas Academy. Nas Academy? Can you...
Nas Academy, Nas, yeah.
Nas. Yeah, give us what's that all about?
Yeah, so Nas Academy, just quickly, is sort of like a masterclass style website where anyone can come and create, well, not anyone, but they pick people who have some level of expertise or knowledge from any background, whether it's like a photographer, a chef, just like masterclass, whatever, and they want to teach something. And they've been making more of a pivot towards Web3 over the last few months, and had a few other great creators on there. Ben Yu from Curious Addies did like an intro to NFTs thing. Randy Zuckerberg did a course as well, and then I did one. I've been talking to them for a few months. So actually, I flew to Dubai about a month ago to film, because they have a studio there and like a full-on setup with a director, multiple cameras, a set, all that kind of stuff, which was really an awesome experience. And so, yeah, my course is going to come out next month. It's on how to launch an NFT project, which it's so insane to just condense that into a course. Like it's a 7-day course, and there's like 15 hours or 10 to 15 hours of video content. So it's a lot, but then I found myself every single thing. I was like, I could and should speak for another 10 hours on this particular point, and then on this point, and then on this point, and then like, oh, I didn't cover that. So I don't want people to think that you'll take the course and then immediately know how to launch a successful NFT project, but it's more like, these are some of the things that are involved and that you should think about, and hopefully people learn something and take something away from it.
A really good starting point. Well, this was going to be my follow-up question, which maybe is what you're about to say, and I don't know. And if we'll cut this out too if I'm wrong, and this is going to be awkward. But my understanding is it's a paid course, and that you're donating all of it.
Right. Yeah. So
okay.
It's a paid course. It's $399 US to take it. Maybe there's some discount codes that will be given out. It'll be free for anyone that's got a Zen Academy NFT or a 350 Club NFT.
Hell yeah.
Which, I mean, the floor price is like 0.2 ETH anyway. So it's like, if you want to take the course, you might as well buy the NFT. But anyway, for everyone else, it's paid course. And then of the money that is generated, it's like a 50-50 split. So 50 will go to Nas Academy for, filming and putting together the entire thing. And then 50% will go to me. And then my allocation, they can pay out in ETH basically. So I've set up a new wallet called the Zen Bank, and it's all going in there. And then 25% will go to support Ukraine. I don't know exactly which charity or initiative, but it's earmarked for that. And then 75% is going into what we're calling the Zen Academy Scholarship Fund. And again, it's not exactly defined what that's going to do, but the idea is to support artists, up-and-coming artists, creators in the space, perhaps people who take the course and want to launch a project but need some funds. And there's a lot of cool things we can do with the money, basically. And yeah, at the end of the day, like, I didn't do it to profit, and I don't love the idea of charging people for education, but then I understand that there are real costs involved with producing content, especially that's like well produced like their content is. Anyway, yeah, so I just thought that was a cool idea to have the ETH go into a wallet that can then be decided on where it's going to go.
Okay, well, now we're down to 3 minutes. So here's what we've got.
Okay.
Here's what I had on my potential things to talk about on the agenda. This Gutter Cat clone juice thing.
So Gutter Cat Gang is a project that launched shortly after the Bored Ape Yacht Club last year, like I think within 3 weeks. And they basically straight up just copied the concept, and, credit to them. There's been 10,000 projects that have copied that playbook since then, and they were just the first ones to realize and jump on the bandwagon and come up with an NFT project that's a community with a club membership type thing. It was great. Like I've been a fan since day one. I minted and I still have some. And the biggest problem, both, like, it's like a double-edged sword. They launched with a collection size of 3,000. So obviously supply and demand helps, price go up if there's not many. But it really capped like the community size. And so I think a lot of the power of Bored Apes and many collections that are 10K is that there's thousands and thousands of people on Twitter who are like networking, connecting, and being advocates for the project. With the Gutter Cat Gang, maybe they had like 1,000 to 1,500 unique owners, and that's a great percentage ownership, but in flat numbers, it's not that great. And over time, they've sort of released additional companion collections. So I had the gutter rats, and then the gutter dogs and gutter pigeons, to like 3,000 each of those to build out the collection size a bit. But by and large, it didn't do that much, because a lot of the owners of those were owners of the cats as well. So it's just like in pure numbers, it didn't, I think, really expand. And so they came up with this new idea, where they said, all right, we're just going to come up with gutter juice, which anyone can use on an existing asset and create like a clone, like a mechanized Android version of this as a new NFT. And they're like, all right, we're going to do 40,000 of them. So like they've really gone ballistic in terms of expanding the community size. And they had a public sale of 28,000. And then like the other 12,000 is being airdropped 1-to-1 for the existing holders. And it was a Dutch auction that started at 0.9 and ended at 0.1. Pretty sure it sold out at 0.1 or just above that.
I think it was 0.11 or something I saw, yeah.
Yeah, and now it's trading at like 0.16 or something. So it's gone up a little bit. I think it's brilliant. I think it's like what they needed to expand the ecosystem. Yeah.
Wait, so I have a question. So I've, again, loosely tracked this, but not well-versed. So this gutter juice, I can apply to what?
Yeah. So basically the vials are used in what they're calling a clone machine that will spit out Android versions. So I don't think you need an existing GutterCat asset to use it with. It's just you go to their website, use their machine, and then you'll get like there's 4 different types of gutter juice. There's like a cat, rat, pigeon, and dog.
Yeah.
You go to their website, put it into the clone machine, and it spits out an Android version.
So it's not like you're using it on one. I couldn't tell if it sounded like you're using it on like an existing NFT of yours.
No,
it's
I don't believe
not
that
like
you
another
are.
NFT. It's you just go to the clone thing and they spit out sort of an Androidized thing. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
GutterCat Gang is definitely one of those ones. Is that the gang thing?
Yeah, everyone on Twitter
Yeah.
goes gang gang. It's just like they call yeah.
That's like their sign that they're in the. God,
Yeah,
you're such
yeah.
It's like
Hashtag
you're losers.
gang gang.
It's such losers. But yeah.
Yeah.
Get a
Hey,
pastry
it,
nerd.
It works. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That was helpful because I wasn't fully tracking and it brought us to just about time. So Zeneca, I will let you go to this meeting and I so appreciate you hanging out and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, head over to Bankless HQ right now to develop your crypto investing skills and learn how to free yourself from banks and gain your financial independence. We recommend joining our daily newsletter, podcast, and community as a Bankless Premium subscriber to get the most out of your Bankless experience. You'll get access to our market analysis, our alpha leaks, and exclusive content, and even the Bankless token for airdrops, raffles, and unlocks. If you're interested in crypto, the Bankless community is where you want to be. Click the link in the description to become a Bankless Premium subscriber today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for in-depth interviews with industry leaders, Ask Me Anythings, and weekly roll-ups where we summarize the week in crypto and other fantastic content. Thanks everyone for watching and being on the journey as we build out the Bankless Nation.